Hello again, everyone. On the heels of at least of an ending was exciting at Indianapolis with a first-time winner. We are right back at it here at the Velocity Online Racing IR05 series today as we come to you from Gateway for the TI Racing Gateway 200. Welcome, everybody. I'm Gary Gotcha. Joining me in the booth is the former champion of the IndyCar Fixed Series, otherwise now known as the Oval Series. Please welcome Mark Murphy. Murph, I can say I've never really raced these cars here at this track. I've done the IR18, I've done the DW12, I've done Lotus 79s, I've done trucks. I don't think I've ever done the IR05 here. So what are these guys? We've already seen a DW12 race already this weekend with VOR. That was a bit of a show, and I use quotes around the word show. IR18 last night you were part of. Seemed like that was a good race and a good combination, at least in the evening race. What do these guys in the IR05 have here for the weekend finale for the VOR IndyCar series with the IR05 guys here at Gateway? What do we got to look forward to as these cars kind of probably drive a little different than the 12s and the 18s?
Yeah, so they do, and good afternoon, everyone. I really think you're in probably for something fairly similar to what we saw with the 18s, except these cars do have a little bit more understeer. Unlike the 18s, on the race set you have to lift going through 3 and 4 here. They don't quite have the aero refinements, so you do have to lift going through 3 and 4 here. Because of that, I think you're probably going to see a little bit more passing because guys can build bigger runs. The high side is going to continue to be dominant, especially as the tires wear. I think you're going to see a fuel management show. In the VOR series we run 14.8 gallon tanks. That should put us right at about anywhere between 43 and 47 laps on gas. Who can be the champion balloon foot and with an early caution eliminate a pit stop? I mean, that's going to be a thing. And then the other pit is I'm watching two things, both of which are in the turns 1 and 2 area. I'm watching the exit of turn 2 because that wall does want to jump out and kill you. And then the other thing that I'm watching is during green flag stops, guys getting off of pit road. Not necessarily getting on it. That's a making up time opportunity. Yeah. Getting off of pit road, these cars have very narrow power bands, and when you get to it, it will light the rear tires and send you around. So looking for some action on the warm-up lane, getting off of pit road.
Yeah, the rule set here, no fast repairs, 5 sets of tires, 1 in the car, 4 in the pit, 75% fuel. Green, white checker, no. This is IndyCar. We don't do that stuff here. 8 seconds left to play. Looks like Silvazzi might actually get this provisional pole. Speed of 173.196, and we go official. And let's get the starting lineup out of the way here. Let's get the music man to cue up some music here. And we'll get on with it. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's get the grid on. If I can get the series name to appear. Okay, here we go. New overlay. And one of the things that we can show in the overlay, I believe, if it corrects itself. There it is. It's actually going to show speed and time on the overlay here. Of course, ovals, we kind of don't care about time as much as we care about speed. Silvazzi on the pole, speed of 173.196. Dorzinko right behind him, only 0.028 off the pace, 173.021. Chin Van Velde, 172.9. Matt Wagner at a 172.9 in his second race in the series. Liam O'Sullivan, 5th. Matthias Strauss, 6th. Julian Altina will make the 7th to first run here soon with the 171.771 in his Dallara. Seb Kinder, P8. Gary Lover, P9. Zachary Mertz in one of those TI Racing cars that are sponsoring today's race. He is in 10th. Matthew Weeks, 11th. John Christensen, our last race winner, is in 12th. Bonnie in 13th. Alexander McBean in 14th. Jonas Weber in 15th. Edson Santos in 16th. Caleb Weekly in 17th. And I believe that is our entire field. No, actually, we have some more. So here's one of my overlay issues that I have. If you don't take time, you don't show up on the overlay. So 17th, we got Weekly. 18th, Chris Lewis. I don't know if he's going to start for the pits or he's having some issues. I'm not seeing him as fully in a car. And Bill Cawley is in 19th. And I do see Bill Cawley on the grid. So I'm not sure what's going on with Chris Lewis. Maybe had an issue loading in again or had a connection issue. It happens, been there. Or the sim freezes up on you when it changes sessions. I've had that happen too.
Yeah, he was having a computer issue during the practice session, Gary, where everything froze and crashed.
Ouch.
So I think that may be some of it. Hopefully Chris can get himself loaded in here and get going. He was fairly quick in practice, so hope he can get that ship righted and get out here and join us.
We haven't got a chance to go over the points. We will during the race. We haven't got over team points as well. We'll bring the weather up on the screen. There it is, 74 degrees track temperature, 72 degrees ambient. So shouldn't have any tire temperature concerns, at least in the actual track surface. You see the lights on the pace car, so we are in a bit of an evening race.
Yeah, and I'm glad the pace car's going to duck on off. We're going to get ready to go green. Salvazzi's going to lead him away from pole, and we are under green at Gateway in the VOR. The VOR IR05 series. Patrick Salvazzi gets the jump on Fyodor there. Time Vandeveld tucks in behind in third, and Matty Wagner is going to stay fourth, just run there up high. Going to be interesting to see again off of turn 2. The other thing, and Matty Wagner said it in the chat, tire management may be key here. I did not experience in testing a lot of tire wear, but I can imagine if you're in the draft, they may wear out in the right front especially.
And we see Matty Wagner in that Alex Tagliani livery. Of course, Alex put that livery on the pole there in the 2011 Indy 500. Right behind him, Matthias Strauss.
Didn't he also fail to make the show in that livery one year? Or
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think.
I always love the look of that car, though. The IR05 to me was always a very difficult car to get right in terms of livery. That was one that was right. It was always very sharp looking, the William Raspowers and Sam Schmidt cars.
And here's another one of the throwbacks from the Indy cars of that era. Alexander Bonney in a. Bonney into the back, and we just had the camera into the back of Christensen, last race winner. Christensen is done, unfortunately. Oh, and I was just getting ready to mention Bonney's livery of Dario Franchitti there, and that is the jinx.
And that's something we saw yesterday in the IR18 race. Guys, there's varying degrees of how guys will slow up or check up into turn 1, and you've got to be very careful, especially back in the pack. You don't get the concertina, the accordion effect that starts yo-yoing people together.
Well, that's we're watching the replay right now, and you see exactly what happened. We'll go back another 10 seconds here and check it out. Christensen has 3 cars 3 wide in front of him, and he kind of really has no choice but to safely kind of roll out of this a little bit earlier. Bonney, probably in the draft, had a good head of steam, wasn't expecting that. Of course, you can't see past from where we see the cameras over their head here. This is another about 6 inches higher, maybe a little bit more than that over the driver's head. That this gives you a little visibility past that rear wing. When you're in the cockpit, you can't really see past that rear wing, so it's possible that Bonney did not know that there was a 3 wide in front Christensen, and that's why he kind of didn't slow down as much as Christensen did, because he didn't really see the impending trouble that Christensen did when you see 3 wide going into corner 1 here at Gateway. So I'm going to call it a bit of a racing thing, but I believe that's going to be a penalty that's going to come back and haunt Bonnie, because kind of anytime you indicate or you initiate any type of contact, especially in the rear of a vehicle in front of you, typically it's your fault.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, you know, as you follow the Indy cars within iRacing, the 3 different cars. Of the 3, it would seem counterintuitive to say it, the visibility in the IR18 with the aero screen is actually better than it is in these cars.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Bonnie could not see the car in front of John Christensen. Now, that doesn't excuse running over the guy in front of you, for reasons that we'll talk about later. But there are 101 different ways to get through turn 1 here, and you got to be careful, especially starts, restarts, and as the pack is, especially on starts and restarts, when the pack is all together, you got to be real careful that you're watching out for the guy in front of you, because you can make, you know, if your entry point is later, you can run him over. Bill Colley is going to pull in and top off his fuel. So good call, Mr. Colley. I think he learned from yesterday.
Colley executing the Colley/Godso strat right now, going to pit road to top off. He, of course, started off the 4 weekend here at Gateway with the win in the DW12 series, and a bit of an attrition fest, but sometimes you just need to drive to survive, and that is enough to win, and it got him the dub in the first race this week. And then we had 2 races last night in the R18 series, and we have the final race of the VOR weekend here right now in the IR05 series. And then later this week, Tuesday, the IndyCar Oval Series comes here. So we have something like, we've had 5 races in 6 days at Gateway here on Race First.
I will never, ever say no to coming to Gateway. You know, Gateway is, I said this yesterday, Gateway is a track that is very near and dear to my heart. You know, Indianapolis is on a level of itself, and you can't really compare it, but just regular tracks, this and Motegi are probably my 2 favorite tracks to come to in IndyCar. They're so much fun when you have it right. So much fun. While
we got time, because I think we got another lap before we go green. Yep, lights are out on the pace car. Here are the team points. Julian Altina is your leader. Matthew Weeks is P2. Seb Kinder P3. Dojinko 4th. Strauss 5th. Zachary Mertz 6th. Christensen 7th, and that's going to hurt him in the points champion. He just cracked the top 10 with a win, and then he's going to take looks like a P18 here. That's really gonna make him suffer. Silva 8th, excuse me. Liam O'Sullivan 9th, and Pedro Bablo in 10th. I don't think everybody that's in the top 10 has made the start for the day, so we still might see some movement there. Outside of the team or personal driver points, we do have the team points, and your team leader is good old AA with 426 points over this week's race sponsor, iRacing, with 286. So, and then Ryder Engineering with 207, and Team Watson Racing with 205. Kind of a closer battle there for third. Getting ready to go green. Get that off the screen here. And we are getting ready to go green at lap 9.
Silvazzi goes in the restart zone. Fiedler is going to follow him. And Fiedler is going to follow him. As is Time Vandervelde, Matt Wagner, Sebastian Kinder, Liam O'Sullivan, and Julian. You mentioned Julian. How long is it going to take him to go from 7th to 1st? He may not get there if we have any more cautions. But
Mertz to the inside of Julian there in 3.
Yeah, that's a power move, and that's the time to do it when you got new tires. That is the time to make that bottom work. And you saw Julian, experience and smarts. Up to the top.
Let him go.
Let him go.
Yep.
Now is not the time to fight. I was going to say, when you talked about Bill, they pay the money at lap 160, not on lap.
Right. Well, we talked about this last night as well. You can win the race You can't win the race at lap 10, but you certainly can lose the race at lap 10.
Oh, right, there were some guys yesterday that lost the race on lap 10.
Here's Julian to the inside of Mertz. Mertz going to stay high in 1 and 2. Julian down low. Mertz going to have the momentum up high. He's still racing Julian.
And just like we saw last night, right? Just like we saw yesterday, the top is extremely powerful in 1 and 2. Not so much in 3 and 4. But if you haven't completed the pass by the time you get to the entry of turn 1, the top will always go by you. Always. The line here, the preferred line, if you kind of wanted to watch somebody running it, if you kind of wanted to watch somebody running the preferred best possible line, 76 Time Vandeveld is running the line that I would consider the best line here, which is the bottom of the track is not it.
No.
The preferred line here is to have your lefts on the tar seam. 1 and 2. He didn't do it that time, as I said he would. Matty Wagner was pretty close to it, though, where you put your lefts right on that tar seam. That's the fast way around here. It is not the curbing on the bottom.
So when you race other types of cars here, so let's say trucks, for instance, I've done truck series here, they almost want you on the bottom. The Indy cars, they just need to be kind of a little bit more freed up, right? So that's kind of why the Indy cars, we kind of see them running the higher line. Is that something that some of these guys that normally run the stock cars, which was going to be the iRacing team primarily, is something that they're going to have to learn coming into this weekend?
It is, and that's the thing. These cars, especially among the 3 Indy cars, this one is almost entirely momentum based. And so. Because the power band is so small. The power band in these cars is like 9,500 to the rev limiter, which is 10.2. And it's like a light switch, and you have to keep the revs in that band, or you kill the momentum of the car. So going all the way to the bottom does 2 things. One, you're slower, but you're also going to be slower out of the hole because you bog the motor down. You want to keep the RPMs up. To do that, you want to stay right in the area of that seam. Matty Wagner's doing it. Better than most. And again, he's probably the only guy in this field other than Julian that raced this car when it was the IndyCar in the service.
We know that Matty is there's a lot of experience in the Indy cars, IR18, DW12, IR05 from various leagues, specifically Dark Horse in the DW12, IR18 would be Lionheart, and then some. I believe he's in some other IR18 leagues. He does have a 3.1K I rating, so very well experienced in these formulas, and he has brought himself and the third place driver Chin Van Velde up to the top 2. Dojinko now has the lead.
Van Velde much longer. No. Here he goes.
And Dojinko now has the lead. He took it away from Silvazzi while we were talking about him. So Silvazzi now is P2. Fordo Dojinko is now in P1, and he is going right to the bottom of the racetrack. So he thinks the bottom, right there, right? He's in that bottom groove. He thinks that bottom groove is fast, and it seems to be fast for him right now. Oh, Zach Mertz and Seb Kinder getting into it in the back there. Mertz getting loose off 2. Catches it before it goes to the infield grass.
Now that's something you would normally say too much weight jacker, but there's no weight jacker.
No weight jacker. No. Again, much like the DW12s in terms of fixed setup races, you do not have access to your tools. Now, if this was an open league, they would have access to their tools just like they would in the IR18. I wish that iRacing would go back and be consistent. Go ahead.
Matt Wagner all over the back of Time Vandeveld. I mean, he is just all over the back of him.
Let's check it out.
He's he had to drop back. He lost the momentum there. He's gonna have to try to build it back up. But Matty is using that high line in 1 and 2, trying to slingshot himself up and around, and he just
lost some momentum.
Ooh.
Anyways,
that's going to be the move. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I was getting ready to say, I wish iRacing would be consistent on these cars, and if they have the tools open for the DW12 or the IR18 to also have them open on the DW12, because I know a lot of drivers get their entry in the IndyCar, and here's another battle for the lead between Dojinko and Salvazzi. Or excuse me, Chinjavaldi and Salvazzi. Dojinko is your leader. A lot of entry for these guys into IndyCar is using the DW12 and say like the Dallara Dash series, which is a free. It doesn't affect your I rating in that series, and it's a free car. So if you're going to want to encourage people to go up to the IR18, why not make everything the DW12 the same as you would in the IR18? So that's just me talking. Now, they have put a little extra development into the DW12 and the IR05 here recently. They've upgraded the damage model, so these cars look a little bit more kind of realistic when they hit the wall. Before, they would just kind of flip and flop and roll on the ground. Now they kind of flip and flop and shed pieces. Here's Van Velde and Salvazzi side by side in the one. Now, Tinja Van Velde is going to have the higher line there, faster line coming off the corner.
Yep, and Matt Wagner is going to follow him through there on the top. Van Velde got Salvazzi.
Salvazzi, yep.
Very loose. And
there's Julian side by side with Liam O'Sullivan.
So this is where the elbows can come out here. You're not going to see it right here in this moment with those two because they're very experienced. And they both know you don't win the race on lap 25. But late in the race, you can get rough down there and just kind of deny the car on the outside entry into the corner, which is how you have to make that pass late in the race. So kind of look out for that as we go. But you can, I don't want to say rough a guy up, but you can almost play chicken with the entry to turn one down there late in the race if you have to. Julian is right around the bottom also.
Let's get back up to our leader. Doshenko is trying to pull away. He's the leader by 3, almost 4 now.
He is indeed. Tijn Van de Velde losing a little bit of time, but he's got a mirrorful, virtual, real or otherwise of Matt Wagner, who I would suspect is going to make it by him eventually. He's been trying that 76 for quite a few laps, to his own detriment a few laps ago as well. But he's trying. I would suspect that he'll be passed here in fairly short order if he can make it work.
Let's take a look at last laps around here. Everybody in the 170 neighborhood, give or take. IndyCar, of course, has a long history here at Gateway. This was on the front lines of the kart IRL Civil War for a period of time. The year after the kind of disastrous US 500 going opposite the Indy 500, kart decided to put their weekend Memorial Day weekend race here. That kind of opened the door for teams to kind of also travel between Gateway and Indianapolis, since it's only about 4 hours between the two sites, give or take a little bit. And also allowed fans to kind of make a big race weekend out of it. You could come here, watch the kart series, or it was still the FedEx Champ Car or FedEx series then at the time. IndyCar. They call it the FedEx IndyCar series? I can't remember. I have to go back, but it was definitely FedEx. The first couple of years of the split was still the series sponsor. You could come here, watch the kart cars, and then get in your car, drive 4 hours east, get to Indianapolis, and the next day watch the Indy 500. And, of course, this also kind of opened the door for the kart teams to participate in both weekends, or both races over the weekend. They would start here, and then they would drive their teams to Indianapolis, where they would already have their IRL car there. And then they would line up for the Indy 500. But the big thing here is when kart abandoned the racetrack, and I'm not quite sure really why kart abandoned. I think Gateway really wanted to have the IRL cars here because of proximity to Indianapolis. IRL started coming here for a period of time. Then they stopped, and then very recently, within the last 10 years or so, it started coming back here, especially with a new promoter, that Bommarello group. They have done an awesome job at putting people in the stands here.
It's an awesome facility. It's probably not in the best area of town.
No, it's not.
It's an awesome facility. For a while, it was dormant. Gateway was originally built by the Dover group, which at the time also owned
Dover,
obviously Dover Downs, but at the time also owned the Grand Prix of Long Beach. They had control of Nashville, and they also owned Memphis Motorsports, which is a name that most people aren't probably familiar with. But
certainly for the truck series, you would be if you're familiar with Memphis Motorsport Park. Yeah.
Right, but for a while, Gateway lay dormant
Yeah.
after the IRL left it. Trucks had gone. Gateway was dormant. The Bommarito Group and the Bommarito Group picked it up. I don't know if they own the track, but they're certainly the
promoters of the event. Yeah, they do a really good job. Oh, Edson Santos.
Sure. Yeah, they're starting to get wiggly on those tires. I would suspect either your right front or your right rear, depending on how you position the throttle, and turn one is starting to get kind of rough, and Matt Wagner now diving the inside of Tyne Vandevelde.
Man, there's Julian.
The top six are under a blanket. Just can't quite get the drive off that corner.
Well, Wagner doesn't have use of the draft, whereas Van Velde had the use of the draft to kind of help pull him past.
Yeah, now he's gonna. I think he might have him clear. He doesn't. Now Julian's gonna try to follow him through. 4 cars under a diamond going into turn 1. No, I almost think if Matt
and Mertz is in this as well. Liam O'Sullivan's in this. Mertz kind of smacked the wall on corner exit there off of 2.
Yeah, they're just really racing hard. I think Devchenko may have used up his stuff a little bit. Everybody's come back to him. Now Tyne Vandevelde going to the inside, and this is actually probably what Matt Wagner needed to get by. Well,
now Julian, he had you kind of really heard Matty's car kind of out of the power range there, and he's going to lose momentum. And you talked about these are big momentum cars. But there you see the track, the speeds last time around now in the 169s.
I had thought that when Vandevelde and Devchenko got side by side, that it was really going to position Matt to drive by, get in a second on the outside.
Interesting. Devchenko goes down the racetrack to give Julian the pole. I bet you Julian enjoyed that.
Your friends are where you find them, Gary. Your friends are where you find them.
Well, and I think he's trying to manage the draft like a stock car driver would do, and I don't think you could really... You could do that for a period in these cars, but you can't make a race of it. Now we're going to go 3 wide down for the lead, going into 3, down the backstretch. Come on, boys. And Julian sends it right to the front. Julian, your new leader. Van Velde now up to the top. He is going to take P2. Well, not so fast, my friends. Here comes Devchenko. Devchenko's still down the bottom. But Chin is going to get the draft to Julian and pull himself forward.
This is where I think I would back off by about half a second.
Oh, and there's contact. And that is Mertz.
Yep. It had to happen. With the way they were racing up there, Gary, it had to happen. You see Zach Mertz getting loose, coming off of turn 2 and pounds the inside wall. Just kind of looking to...
No, O'Sullivan, I think, decided he wanted to change lanes and came up on Mertz there. So we'll watch here one more time. There is Mertz down the front straight. He is clear of Wagner going into 1. He now is starting to... He's obviously going to be encountering a ton of aero wash because no matter where he sticks his car, he is going to be pushing. And he comes up to... O'Sullivan wanted out, but he didn't know that Mertz was coming up on him that quick. And there we have contact. So unfortunately, one of the today's race sponsors, iRacing, lost one of their vehicles here as they are out here at lap 41 here of the 200-mile race.
They are indeed. And everybody come down pit road, obviously. We are in the window, more or less, right? Bill Colley is going to stay out, I believe. Bill, no, it's Bonnie. A lap back. But, yeah, it's just... I had just said it, right? I believe I might want out of this deal. I think Liam wanted out. I think Liam's watching the broadcast. He wanted out, and away we went. And poor Zach had nowhere to go and nothing done wrong there on his part. It happens, but
I
we
mean, more than
we get a
likely
break.
it'll be reviewed by race stewards, but I'm not quite sure how to rule on that. Chat might have their opinions, but we are back underway. Bonnie, as you mentioned, did not make his stop.
He's going to take the wave. He was 2 laps down. He'll now be 1 lap down. He had a bit of misfortune there at the beginning of the race with John Christensen, and so a couple of laps down under repair. Now he's 1 lap down, and that's the thing here. Matt said it was getting nuts. We agree, Matt. We agree. It was starting to get crazy, and I wonder if that Matt had said it. Tire management was going to be key here. I can't help but wonder if maybe the tires are such that they go off. Now, I didn't experience that in a 25 lap run, but maybe at the end of a run they go off enough that guys are wrestling with it, and you can make that work going forward in the last 10 laps or so. I don't know. We'll have to see, but certainly they were.
Wagner,
really
I know what happened,
together.
and no comments. But while we've got a rest period here, getting ready to go back to green, I believe the lights are off on the pace car. The kart track record held by one of the best race drivers to never win an IndyCar race. Raul Boesel actually holds the kart track record here with a speed of 187.9. Of course, Raul, longtime driver for Dick Sullivan, and also in that very memorable livery of the Duracell battery car when he drove that in the mid to late 90s. He holds the kart track record. Yep, and he holds the kart record. The IRL track record, to nobody's surprise, is Will Power. Of course, he leads the IndyCar history, all-time winner of pole positions. And he got that in 2020 with the speed of 192.384, and we're back green here at Gateway. We'll get back more into IndyCar and Gateway history here in a little bit. Julian, your leader, Van Velde P2, Dojinko P3, O'Sullivan P4, and Wagner recovering to P5.
And we've got caution on the track, Gary. Caution on the track. We've gone back yellow.
We got Weekly involved. And let's see what happened here with Caleb on the restart. Turning in.
Just touches the back of Edson Santos.
He just kind of comes into Santos. So Santos has an okay weekend here. He came in. Collie got into it, but he all of a sudden snapped back together. But I'm sure he's going to have some sort of damage. Santos looked like he was on his way to a win in the Friday race and just had to pit late, and that'll open the door for Collie to get the win on a fuel mileage race. But what we had there is I think he's been learning from the weekend that you cannot dive really headlong into turn one with cold tires on any of the IndyCar formulas because it gets a little hairy in there. And I think he was just kind of backing off, taking things easy. And Caleb, in his only race of the weekend so far, kind of just barreled in and got into the back of the Brazilian.
And that's really easy to do.
Yeah.
I covered that. At the very beginning. There are 101 different ways to get through turn one. Cold tires, hot tires, however you want to say it. And just saw 2 different ways, and they met in the middle, and they go for a ride. You mentioned, Gary, some of the history here. This racetrack was really the first shot in the thought of the split.
Mm-hmm.
When they moved, it wasn't that they moved the race to the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. It's that the first shot and the first shot of the thaw that I call it was that Buddy Lazier. Of course, none of the kart teams went to Indianapolis that first year. It would be 3 more years until Chip Ganassi broke that particular line.
Yeah, it was in 2000 that 2000 the first kart team started to appear.
You can say that Team Penske kind of, in an unofficial way, broke it the year before with Jason Leffler and their association.
Right.
Injury. Penske sent the entire Penske team to run another team's car, but this was the track where that first thaw happened, and it was Newman Haas, as we get ready to go back to green, offering Buddy Lazier a ride in that 97 Gateway race. And back to green, Julie Altena all over it. Tyne Van de Velde second, Fyodor Devchenko third.
Liam moved up to fourth.
That's right, Matty Wagner bringing up the top 5. The names that you would expect are there. Seb Kinder, 6th, very fine 6th. Patrick Silvassi has faded from the pole to 7th. Jonas Wagner up 7 spots to 8th. Nice job.
Yeah, Jonas Weber back there up to 7 spots. Yeah, he's in the best so far of everybody.
Matthias Strauss is 9th. And bringing up the top 10, give a shout out to stock car ace Matthew Weeks. Of all the tracks that this car has come to in an IndyCar, I would have, thought, sure, Matthew Weeks is going to do tremendous at Michigan. He's going to be a force. He finished on the podium there. But when we get to Gateway, that's where you have to know how to drive an IndyCar, and certainly he's probably experiencing a pretty steep learning curve, and he's doing a pretty good job.
But, I mean, it's a pretty long race. I mean, it's 160 laps, 200 miles. That's a long time. I mean, I suspect, it could just be me, that Weeks will figure it out and get him a couple more cautions, get this field compressed a little bit. I think he'll be up inside the top 10. He's at the top. He's on the bottom of the top 10 right now, but well inside the top 10 by the time of this race is over.
That's an Elite Racing League Cup Series champion. He's a guy that, if applied himself, could very easily be in the Coke Series. That's how good Matthew Weeks is in a stock car. He'll figure it out. But I would wager these first 100 laps are a very, very glorified test session for Matthew Weeks. But impressive nonetheless.
Now, the career IndyCar wins leaders here at Gateway. Despite IndyCar not being here, or as long as they have, of course, there was a long period there where they weren't here, where you kind of said the track kind of fell into kind of nothingness there for a while. But since they've come back, Joseph Newgarden, this has been his home away from home. He has 4 wins, including 3 in a row from 2022 to from 2020 to 2022. Next to him, the next closest driver is Scott Dixon, who got his 2nd win here last year. So he's your defending winner coming into this season's race in the 2024 NTT IndyCar season. But really, the list of winners, and this should tell you something about the track, the list of winners is really a who's who of IndyCar history. Paul Tracy won the inaugural race here. Alex Zanardi got a yellow, and I see Weeks, and we just jinxed him. And McBean might have been in it. But let's go back.
Down.
Let's go back and see what happened with Weeks here. He has Strauss in front of him.
And Matthias learned what most of us know. The curb here is curb apron bad. Gets down there, loses the back end, and
so yeah, we still got a little bit of. We got to watch him down the front straight here. And he's just going to send it into 1. Now, you can take it down to the apron, and you could do that like in trucks and IR18s. If your cars are really tight, you can take it down to the apron to help kind of loosen things up. But some of these other cars don't like it. There he is, clear on the apron way too long. And back in comes around, and poor Weeks had no place to go. He just went sideways in front of him.
Matthias Strauss got a wild ride on the roll hoop. Down the back there too. I hope he's not in VR. He's gonna have a headache.
Here it is. Yeah, he had no place to. He tried to go on the outside, and he didn't have the momentum to make it before Strauss came up on him, and that's oof.
Hate
to be done, unfortunately. And that's another one of the race sponsors' cars, unfortunately. Chris Lewis, man, you can't be happy.
We're gonna have a split decision. We've got
yes.
We got
pit stops.
We got 6 cars coming down pit road. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars staying out. Julian, Chinko,
Lavazzi
down pit road.
Seb Kinder's back there. Gary Lovern decided to make the stop. So everybody from 6 on back, and we're now kind of having a bit of what we had the DW12 race, not as bad, but a lot of attrition now.
And you'll have that here. Gateway can be attritional just because it's so tricky to drive. An uncharacteristic mistake for Matthias Strauss, very highly skilled guy in these cars. You're going to see a lot of attrition here. You're going to see a lot of it in a preview of Tuesday. You're going to see a lot of attrition Tuesday, Gary. And it's going to be where the yellow falls in that race that kind of dictates,
Right.
kind of dictates who wins it. The pit stop here is kind of outside the window, which I'm very surprised that Julian stopped. I would expect some of the guys in the back to stop, but very surprised to see some of the front runners stop, given that they had just been in at lap 40, and given that even though I went to Ball State, 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 40 equals 160.
Right.
Don't know that a stop at lap
55 is what they have him coming in at 55.
I don't think that would have been in my playbook. I don't know what it gets you.
Well, it didn't lose him too much track position, only just a little bit. Those guys in front of him are still going to have to stop. I think Julian can get around Bill Colley fairly quickly, because I think Bill might be damaged from one of the previous yellows, but he's banking on track position, and it's not a bad thing to bank. But McBean might be damaged as well. So I think Julian, we'll see how well. Ooh, and that was a kind of a ragged restart. O'Sullivan, Julian, Matt Wagner. I don't think Matty got away as quickly as he could have, because Weber went racing him right away. McBean now with a good restart.
I almost think he was in second gear is what it looked like. Meanwhile, Liam O'Sullivan reaches out and races away from Matty Wagner and Jonas Weber, but they're kind of bottled up back there. I am interested to see. I almost want to say, do we take bets on how long it takes Julian to get around Bill?
Well, that's what I was going to see. Is Julian how well are these newer tires that are going to go against tires that are 16 laps old? Is that much of a difference here at Gateway? So looks like Colley actually is pretty spry right now in terms of his speed and time. He's right up there with McBean. Last time by, they turned 27-1s. The leaders were turning 27-1s. So I don't think Bill is damaged. It looked like he might have been, but the racing gods might have blessed him with recuperative abilities on that car.
Well, and something else I was going to say. The only thing that I can think of with Julian is Jesper kind of said it yesterday, and we saw it with him. The overcut here is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So, maybe Julian's thinking, okay, I'm going to have to make the same number of pit stops. Maybe my final stop can be shorter.
Seb Kinder on pit road. Not sure why. It might have been blinking. Yeah, it might have been blinking.
Yeah, he's blinking pretty hard. But what I was going to say was, we have a shorter final stop, but these cars yesterday in particular, on lighter fuel and old tires, they were actually faster than they were on full fuel with new tires, believe it or not. They would get faster as they went. You see Seth Kinder coming out. Awesome dude, by the way.
So what I was getting to real quick when I was talking about the career wins leaders in IndyCar here. Here goes Wagner underneath Liam O'Sullivan. Is really that it's just not any IndyCar drivers really that have won here. It's the names, and it kind of tells you that this track is a challenging track to drive. When you have Paul Tracy and Alex Zanardi, Michael Andretti, Juan Montoya, Alan Jr., Jill DeFerrin, Castro Neves, Will Power, and then also you throw in the names of Newgarden, Dixon, and Sato. I mean, kind of the lowest name I would say on that list is Sato. Every other one of them either won the kart championship or the Indy 500. And Sato's got the 2 Indy 500 wins, but he's probably the weakest of all that on the list. I'd say in IndyCar history. That's not a bad list. That's not a bad list at all.
If your weakest link at a track, if your weakest winner at a track is a 2-time Indy 500 winner, that's a pretty solid list. And Bill Colley all over the back of Alexander right now. He is absolutely faster. Julian's going to stick his nose into that fight. going to stick his nose into that fight as well. It's going to be, to make that overcut work, Julian needs to get toward the front. So he's going to be starting to get a little impatient.
Yeah, he will.
How about Bill Colley?
Come on, Bill, set it in there. Let's see what happens. Nope, high side. High side comes back in, though. McBean's doing a great job. McBean did a good job at the Indy race. And he's doing a decent job here. He's up in the top 10, top 5 right now. And this is the only VOR series he runs in with. Oh, Bill, no! Hopefully it's just a little bit of damage. He smacked it. It really cost him some momentum. But he seems to be back up to. Yeah, these cars are tanks.
They're pretty resilient. But if we could, can we get some out of the race first budget and send a clean pair of brown pants down to the 11 pit box? Julian just saw his life flash before his eyes right there. And Bill has it back going again. He's right in front of Time Vanderbilt now. Back up to speed, back up the pace.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what Bill's time is on this lap.
Let's see.
26.4.
He's faster than cars behind him. She took a licking and kept on ticking.
It's just good old Timex watch.
These things are very resilient. Indy cars really are pretty resilient. You can rub on them a little bit. You can, especially these cars that were designed as primarily oval cars, they're far stronger than people.
Wagner around Sullivan up front. We missed that when we were watching the incident with Colley. We missed 2 passes for the lead. Come on, guys. Got so much action all over the place. Don't know where to look.
Wait, yeah. No, there's 3 wide. Okay. Bill has finally decided discretion in the better part of the bow.
Yeah.
Savazzi and Dudchenko are going to get by him. Meanwhile, Julian has checked out from them. Is now latched onto the back of the lead group, which is now being headed by, no surprise, to
Matt Wagner. Yeah, and we're going to see Matt Wagner later tonight. He's going to take the old virtual jet from here up to Michigan, and we'll see him in the DW12 later tonight. The Dark Horse DW12 Series, 8 p.m. Eastern. Will be the Dark Horse DW12 Series. Myself and Ryan Eric King call the action from Michigan International Speedway.
I might have to break out the old. Race First DW12 and head up there myself.
Oh, it'll be good to see you. We do have an old school Race First DW12 paint job good to go. Get
that baby dusted off. I think mine actually has the fuzzies wrap on it. As a nod to Hoosier Ed Carpenter.
Oh, Carpenter, Ed Carpenter, yeah.
And Hoosier Fuzzy Zeller, by the way, who has probably bigger fish to fry this weekend. I'd imagine he's a little bit further south than Indianapolis right about now.
Here to the inside, Elena O'Sullivan going into 1. So you can't just and the way that he's trying to pass. I mean, he's faster going into the corner, but he just can't keep the momentum up. These cars, you really want to do a late turn in the 1 and keep it up high and then bring it down. Not hit the apex early on turn 1 here. You don't want to do that. Yeah. That's where you're going to bind up your car.
When you get to that early apex, it does 2 things. 1, you drop the RPMs out of the power range, but also you get significant oversteer right there.
Let's ride on with Matty here. We're gonna let him change some gears here down the backstretch into 3. He might grab a gear. He breathes it a little bit. I don't think he shifts a gear.
No, you're just gonna breathe it into 6. He is gonna go down to at least 4th gear though, if not 3rd.
Yeah, here, listen to him. At least 1, maybe 2 there. And getting down to those lower gears helps the car rotate. And it also helps you keep those revs up so you can use every bit of that power to get a good exit.
Just kind of breathing it. Something that we don't talk about and something that, something that always sticks in my mind, and I always have to mention it. When you get into the 12s and the 5s, who has not mapped a tear-off button? I'm looking through I'm looking through Matty Wagner's visor, and it's starting to get obscure. Who forgot to map the tear-off button today?
Yeah, that's what you have to do. Is what the 12s and the 5s is. People forget they don't have the aero screen, and so that means that the aero screen does have tear-offs, and when you make a pit stop, they automatically tear that off. That's just, there's no button you push. That's just, I think it's a checkbox. I don't think it saves you any time to uncheck it or check it. And but on the 12s, on the 15, or excuse me, on the 12s and 05s, and even on the Lotus 79s, you got to map that button. Otherwise, you're in for a long race.
It got really bad. I ran a series with the Lotus 49 in the ERL during the dark days, and that was my always remember to map a tear-off series, because I forgot to do that the first one. I couldn't see at the end of the race. So one of the things to kind of watch now as Matty Wagner leads him, we've got a lap car that they're coming up on. Alexander Bonney. He's
5 seconds still down the road. We'll get the camera on Bonney. He's going past the infield entrance gate there on the backstretch. Now he's in the 3 and 4.
But he is about a second a lap slower.
They'll catch him in about 3 or 4 laps then.
More or less, yeah. He's, call it 8/10. So he's at least 8/10 a lap off the pace. Be interesting to see what can happen. What happens with him. Lap traffic is normally an issue here. If you get a long green flag run, you get a larger field, it can be a bear. And no patch on Bonney. I mean, it's a championship, and he's
Julian to the inside of McBean going down the front straight.
Let's see if he can make it stick down there.
Oh,
see, Jules.
Yeah,
Jules did.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jules did what I said you have to kind of do to make that work. He denied his opponent there the chance to turn into the corner. Just kind of load him out of the way. But Julian is recognized. Now's the time to move forward. And with his fuel advantage, he's got 15 laps of gas on these guys. If he can get out to the lead, 15 laps of fuel, and the car is a little bit quicker.
Okay, Bonney hit pit road, so he ducked out of the way for these guys.
Smart move. We'll see if he actually stops or if it's just a informal drive-through.
Weber driving it in big time in the 1 and 2, getting to the attenuator of Sullivan. Those are 2 teammates racing. Of course, reminder to everybody, there are rules to racing your teammate. Rule 1, thou shalt not wreck your teammate. Rule 2 says, please refer to Rule 1. That's how you race your teammate.
They are talking to each other, by the way. I was talking to both of them before the race. Liam O'Sullivan and Jonas Weber, both highly accomplished sports car racers. They're aces in that world, and they have expanded into
definitely got a bit of a learning curve here, and I know Liam has. He's talked about it with me, trying to learn these cars. I would imagine Weber has as well. And there you see Weber, not a lot of iRating, but he's involved in a lot of leagues, whereas O'Sullivan has a lot of iRating, 3.4K. So that tells you he does a lot of official races, and a safety rating of 3.79. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, those guys have been working a lot with Jesper and Seb Alexander and Josh Tucker on the IR side, trying to learn these cars on ovals. Like I said, they're both very accomplished sports car racers. And we're going to see Liam O'Sullivan now duck into the bottom of Matty Wagner, trying to get that lead back. But those two are talking in Discord. They're down there. They're together, working this thing out together. And they're both here purely for seat time in a high-speed open-wheel oval environment, trying to learn it. Because there's nothing that can replay. You can do all the testing you want. You can do all the banging around with AI that you want. There's nothing that will replace racing these cars against other people on high-speed ovals. You just can't do it. And even though it's not...
Go ahead.
Even though it's not the modern car, it's still very valuable to guys that just jumped into these cars 6 months ago.
And it would be the first time that you've had people from sports car jump into IndyCar. Even in real life, if you think about, here we go, bottom, Liam O'Sullivan up top. Not going to get the lead because that high line is going to come back in. Just a couple names come to mind. Jeff Brabham, Hurley Haywood. Although Hurley didn't have a great job. He didn't have as good of an opportunity as Brabham did. Let's think, who else? Randy Lanier, John Paul Jr. Yeah, Randy Lanier. So those guys that appeared in that Netflix documentary.
Whittington Brothers, right?
The Whittington Brothers, the IMSA, or was it the International Marijuana Smuggling Association? That's what it was in the 80s at one point. Man, Weber is giving Julian the what to do going into turn 3.
I don't think. When Weber gets down into turn 1 here, I don't know that Julian's going to let him turn left. Here we go. Does Julian let him turn left?
He does.
I don't know that Julian's a better man than me. I might have denied that a little bit harder.
No. Julian's not a better man than you, but I don't think he was in a position maybe to make that move. But Weber was given. We could go back and look at that. Weber kind of did a couple of moves there to make Julian think twice about going on the outside.
No, and here's the thing with the strategy, the way this is playing right now.
Oh, Julian, big run off of 2. Big run off of 2. Here we go.
Not gonna quite have enough steam to draw it. Here's the thing, Matty Wagner down pit lane. So Matty Wagner blinking. We are at lap 90. So Matty Wags is gonna be the first.
Yeah, he went 48 on that stint.
A lot of caution laps, right? But Julian, if I were him, I might keep my powder dry here because you're with the lead pack.
Okay, really I think O'Sullivan's coming to pit road. And with him is Weber. Weber had to get really climb to work hard to get in position. So this is a team stop. McBean follows suit, and we got two teammate cars. Oh my goodness, that's rule 2, being violated, erasing your teammate. Weber, you got to know that you guys are coming to the cones. You got to give each other more, especially if it's your teammate. Especially if it's your teammate, that's going to cost them. Now, Julian pitted on lap 55. He's 37 laps into the stint. Plus, he's been behind traffic and drafting a lot. I would imagine he's going to go as long as he possibly can here. And he might know already that there was an incident between 2 of the cars that he was just racing with on pit road. And that might be incentive for him to keep moving. Just keep moving. Don't change strategy.
Whoa. Okay, so I'm watching Liam. He didn't really hit anything. He had a lot of trouble getting off of pit road. He didn't hit anything other than be hit on the left rear. I'm interested to see how Liam O'Sullivan comes out of this. Jonas Weber is obviously going to need a new front wing, but I don't think he hit. Weber's
rolling, and Julian is Julian's passing him right now. So he's putting Weber down 2 laps.
Now, I'd be interested to see how much time Liam O'Sullivan lost. He doesn't appear at just sight to be off song. We'll get a lap time here for his first lap at full chat. But
here he comes. This time he is a 26.7.
Okay, so he's half a second off the pace. We'll see what the next one is. That could just be cold tires. He took a pretty good lick on the left rear. Usually what will happen is, even if there is no damage visible on the car to us, we say that Indy cars get hidden damage. What does that mean? It means that
here he comes.
There's something hurt with the floor.
26.570.
So 0.3 off. But you can hurt the floor in these cars, and you'll never see it on the screen.
Yep.
But it's hurt, and I think that's where.
And Wagner's behind him, and Wagner just did a 26.4.
So he's off the pace a little bit. Julian, by the way, out there running 26.395. So just as I had kind of alluded to earlier, Gary, the overcut extremely strong. Julian out there with
Gavazzi hitting pit road right now.
Yes, he is. Julian out there, worn in tires,
So Vazzi pitted on 55, so that's part of that's the first of those guys that pitted at 55 are hitting pit road right now. So the rest of those at 55, Julian, Chin, Doshinko, and Gary Lovern.
Theoretically, Matt Wagner should cycle back to the lead here.
Well, he's got Liam O'Sullivan in front of him.
Well,
so,
right. But I think Liam is going to be a lap back to him, though. Shouldn't he be?
I show Liam P6 and Wagner P7, so when we cycle through, I think O'Sullivan's going to have the lead.
Okay.
Oh, no. Savazzi might have the lead, actually. We'll see. No, Savazzi's coming off of pit road. So it will be Liam and Wagner P1, P2 when we cycle through. I think.
Yep. Well, here comes Savazzi. He's coming off pit road. There's the cone up. He's not going to have the lead. He's backwards. Move it down the grass. There you go. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Oh, and I was hoping they'd get going before they threw the yellow, but that's exactly what Julian wanted to see. That's exactly what Chin wanted to see. That's exactly what Gary Lovern wanted to see. Those are all team Altena Auto Sports cars. They are all in the same strategy, and all at once, it paid off for the entire team right there. Absolutely. They are the only cars on the lead lap at the moment.
Now, the cars that this help going to be, Dushinko just one lap down. Okay, so those three are going to be 1, 2, 3. All the guys that just pitted down to one lap down, so that's O'Sullivan, Wagner, McBean, Dushinko, Colley, and Silvazzi. All the guys one lap down are going to be behind them, so they're going to cycle through and get the wave around. Liam may get the lucky dog. Everybody else
I don't know if they've had Lucky Dog enabled. They have to check the rules. I can't recall.
I know we do it in the 18s. We'll see.
Under the info tab at the on the iRacing screen there, I'll tell you. Let's take a look. Let's go back here about 50 seconds or so for Silvazzi and see what happened to him. So he's coming off of pit road. And now he's off the button. So now everything's... And we've already talked about this, that coming off of pit road was going to be a problem for drivers today. It's slippery. And the short, narrow power band that these cars have, that all of a sudden it just takes off on you. And he's off the button. He's trying to get up to speed, and he hits it now, and that's the band. That's exactly what happens. And comes around. And we kind of talked about this, but we talked about overall... at this track has a reputation of a very dangerous pit road in and a very dangerous pit road out.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it, like if you go to his in car and you slow it down, the tack went from 9507 down to, like, he felt it, because that's about where the power band is, 9500. He went from 9507 down to 9400 and then by, which is right where the power is. It went from 94 to the limiter immediately, and that's what happens when you have these cars, and you got to be really careful. When I run them, Gary, I will actually shift into second gear.
Yes. I do that too, and it might make my times a little bit slower. And in that case, coming off a pit road overall time, but it is definitely a lot safer time. And for those that want to tempt fate and it comes back and bites them, I will gladly take those positions over them just because I took a safer approach on pit road. But we're watching the field now under caution. Julian still shown as the leader. Chid Van Velde P2, Gary Lovern P3. O'Sullivan is now listed as fourth on the lead lap. He is coming around. Matt Wagner is listed as fifth, but he is behind the pace car with Weber immediately behind the pace car. So what's going to happen here is that all these cars behind the pace car up to Julian will get the waiver on. That is an IndyCar rule. That is to allow the leader, by which a right they've earned by being the leader, to bring the field down to a restart at their own pace. So all these cars in front of Julian. So let's get the picture on Julian here real quick. So we're talking Doshinko and Salvazzi and Bonnie and Bill Colley and McBean, Wagner, Liam. I think it goes up to Wagner, and then also in front of Wagner is, as we mentioned, Weber. They will all get the wave around right before we go green. And then Julian will roll up to the back of the pace car, and he will control the restart. So
we did get the answer to the lucky dog. Liam O'Sullivan did get the lucky dog, so he pitted on this cycle.
Okay.
With Gary.
Here we go. They're getting the wave around.
Matty Wagner just said figures in the chat. We're with you, Matty. You still got 56 laps to get it done, brother.
I think everyone still has a pit stop to go. I don't think anyone can make it without stopping one more time.
No, not unless you start coasting at the start finish line. Is that possible? And I don't even think Scott Dixon could save that much. The window here is about 45 laps. The other thing I wanted to compliment is Matty Wags has been at this long enough. Like, there's only a couple of guys that can do it. Him. Robert Malechka is another one that can type while they're driving the car. That's never been a skill I've been able to master.
Unless I have a voice to text or something. But then again, we would be getting every 5 minutes, probably censored words from Wagner's microphone. So,
yeah, I was going to say I don't think that voice to text would be a good thing for me to have in a race car. But
so here we got Team VOR, the Altena Auto Sports cars, 1, 2, 3. Ryder eSports, 4th and 5th. Ryder eSports definitely needs good finishes for their drivers today because they are trying to capture or make up ground on that TI Racing team. Right now, we only have one TI Racing car left. As that guy right there, Fordor Doshenko, he is in 9th.
Yes, indeed, and they are battling.
Oh my goodness! They're racing like it's the last lap. Matty Wagner to the inside of Lovern. Is he going to have that run off that he can close the door? No, but they are.
He's going to have it. He's going to have it in 3.
They're going to try to go 3 wide behind him, but they think a little better about it. And Wagner gets the position. Move Wagner up to 3rd. So Wagner sounds like from his kind of disappointed comments, he's like, well, figures. He thought maybe he might have had a plan here, so maybe he still has time to execute that plan. You did tell him that he had another 50 laps or so to go to kind of recover, and he has made that now 2 spots up in the 3rd.
Yep, O'Sullivan going to get by Lovern as well, so move Liam O'Sullivan up to
5th, and McBean is the next car involved in that battle, that red car.
No.
And I don't know how long McBean's been doing this. He's got a 2.1 KI rating, a 375 safety rating. Normally, those that haven't been in the series or on the service very long kind of use those default iRacing wraps, and I think that's what he has. And it doesn't look too bad. It kind of reminds me of kind of a Ferrari-ish type wrap. But normally after a while, people find trading paints and they'll slap on. The ones I don't like are when they slap the Formula One liveries onto an IndyCar. It's like, come on, man. Or the NASCAR liveries on an IndyCar. It's like, come on, man. Pick an IndyCar one. There's a whole host of history right there.
Come on, I have a stock car wrap on my car.
No, yours I give a pass to because it's from a movie, and it's a funny movie. Oh, man. Weber and Lovern almost come together, and that's going to give McBean the bottom here. He's just going to send it right on in. So Weber, no. I think Weber is forgetting that he is a lap down on everybody, and he's racing everybody really hard.
I don't think he's forgetting. I was going to say that. I don't think Jonas Weber is forgetting anything. He's got a teammate in front of him that's got a chance to win a race. There's no incentive for Jonas to move out of the way here. He's not exactly impeding anyone. He's as fast as they are. He's not pulling over for him either. Meanwhile, Liam O'Sullivan is.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of what I would expect he is within sight of the leaders per se, but he's not going to pass the leaders anytime soon. And if he stays in his current position, he will be the first car a lap down. So he will get, of course, this league has a lucky dog, so he will get the lucky dog at the next caution. He should just kind of set up for that if he can. That's just my opinion, because if you start impeding the race, right? He's not racing another car right now for position. So he what he is doing is he's kind of in the middle of other cars racing for position. You're right. He does have pace. He's not necessarily impeding, but he is an impediment to these cars racing around him a little bit.
Well, he has let Liam get a second on the road, right? And that's, you know.
Oh well, and a teammate, you know, that's something a teammate can do.
So explain why my stock car rap is permissible again.
Because I think it's a funny movie. Stoker Ace, I think it's a funny movie.
If you read the book, Stoker Ace is actually an IndyCar guy. Changed it to stock cars for Hal Needham changed it to stock cars for cinematic effect, but he's actually an IndyCar driver. Anyway.
That's right. That's because it's got Burt Reynolds. Any movie with Burt Reynolds in it around that time, it's kind of a comedy. It's a Hal Needham as the director.
Yeah, they made that Smokey and the Bandit, and Cannonball.
Cannonball, yeah. Hal actually was a director of a B movie classic. It's one of my all-time favorites, and it's an awful movie. But if you're a fan of G.I. Joe, it's right there like a G.I. Joe type team. It's called Megaforce from the early 80s, where they have these futuristic dune buggies and motorcycles that take on a mechanized tank army of some invading country or something. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Got to check it out. But that's another one of Hal Needham, because he was always directing the stunt movies, the movies that had big stunts, big explosions, big jumps, that type of thing. And those were typically the Hal Needham MO of a movie.
Well, of course, he's a stunt guy, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of stunts, Liam O'Sullivan is about to make this a four-way fight for the lead, because Matt Wagner had caught Chin Vandeveld, and you know, if Matty can get by Vandeveld, which I suspect he should be able to do. He's going high on him in 1 and 2 now, trying to get that run down the hill. That's how you have to build it. I would suspect that we're going to see a fight for the lead here shortly. And the thing that I'm kind of looking at with that is Vandeveld has fallen almost half a second off of Julian. So the draft for him is not nearly as strong. He's not getting near as much pull as Wagner is getting behind him. And Matty is working that high side in 1 and 2 hard, looking for that run. He's got it to the inside. He's got it to the inside now on Vandeveld through 3 and 4. He needs to keep it even on the straightaway.
There you go.
As long as he's even here, he can kind of shoulder Vandeveld, who's not as experienced, out of the way. Doesn't do that. No.
He's got it. He's good. He's good. He's good.
Keep it off each other, boys. Eventually, the 54 is going to
yeah, but I don't see Julian going down the in his line, adjusting his line to help Matt. I think he's going to stay right up there at the top and do all he can to help. Whoa, here we go again. Chin. But he goes down low. He goes down low in the corner, gives the arrow wash to Wagner. Wagner keeping it there. 121 of 60, 160 coming to 122. Haven't got a chance to say this, but I want to thank everyone for joining us. If you're just joining us, the race first coverage of the iRacing Gateway 200 for the VOR IR05 series. Make sure to smash like and click the bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on future wheel banging. That's right.
Look, I raced side by side in the US 500 with Matt Wagner for 80 laps, and we never touched once. There are guys that you trust and guys that you don't. I will bang wheels with Matt Wagner any day of the week and twice on Sunday. He's that good. It had been most had it been another 179,000 people in the service, that would have been a crash. That's how good these guys are. But he's just going to regroup. And
so we were talking about some stunt people. We were talking about how Needham. Of course, you know that there has been a team in IndyCar history that was known for actual performing stunts and doing pre-show stunts and that type of thing as part of their company history. The Joey Chitwood team, he was in the early days of the IRL, had a team here.
Joey Chitwood III actually was the president of the Speedway for a while.
Yeah. And he had Brazilian Alfonso Giafone, who I believe later went on to win at least one IndyCar race. Maybe driving for AJ?
Felipe Giafone.
Okay, so Alfonso.
I want to say that Giafone won.
He's a cousin of Felipe. Okay. And he's a cousin-in-law of Rubens Barrichello. Okay, so thank you, Wiki.
I don't think that Alfonso Giafone ever won a race. Felipe Giafone
did. He did. It was at Kansas. Kansas? He had one win. I think that was at
thinking of Ayrton Dare.
No, it was he was driving for Mona, and it was at Kentucky.
Yeah, and so that was Tony Kanaan's teammate, and Kanaan's first Indianapolis 500 was Felipe Giafone. And Kanaan had that race won, if you'll recall, until
smacked the wall.
Ran through. Well, he had some assistance from Bruno Junqueira's blown engine. No, that happens in 500-mile races. We now have a three-way battle for the lead between the Altena Autosport duo of Julian Altena and Chen Vandevelde, 1 and 2. Matt Wagner trying to find a way around both of them as they fly in formation here. We're even Steven on tires for the front two, although Wagner is going to be due in pit lane, and he's going to be due to be coming here now anytime. The pit window is open for Matt Wagner to make his final stop. He did not pit under that last caution to get the wave around because it already made his green flag pit stop when the yellow came out. So he's on that light fuel, old tires, my car is faster, let me buy kind of a deal that we saw Jesper pull off yesterday.
Once again, we want to thank TI Racing for their sponsorship of today's race. This is the TI Racing Gateway 200. And we're talking about a little bit of IndyCar history. Joey Chitwood, Sr. I forgot that he actually raced in the Indy 500 for throughout the 40s. Did, of course, not during the war. That was no racing from 41 to 46 at the Speedway. But
did so on four wheels, friends. He did so on
four wheels and not on fire, not jumping anything. But he has 3 top 5 finishes. 3 top 5 finishes. Not bad at all. And a total of 7 starts, 3 top 5s.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think about how this is going to turn out now. Lap 132. So we're getting down to show and tell time. Did Julian and Vandevelde, did Liam, do those guys just do a gas and go here? They only need what? 15 laps of gas, so it's roughly 3-1. They only need 5 gallons. Gas and go. Obviously, Matt Wagner is going to take tires.
Well, it depends. Well, again, it comes back to what we've said before in these races, where we kind of go back to reference the '82 Indy 500, where the fueler for one of the 2 cars in the and I believe it was it Mears that just needed enough fuel to get he took too much fuel. I think it was the fueler for John Cock. They used to use a stick to smack his back, and that was his cue to disengage and to clear the car so it could take off. So we talk about the virtual swatting of the stick, but if the fuel, if there requires any more than 5 seconds worth of fuel, you might as well throw on new tires. But you're right, it does bring up the danger. Well, I even think with used tires coming off a pit road, and especially a light car, it also brings up the identical danger of that power band coming back to get you. It might do it less with new tires on, but it certainly will come back and haunt you if they're warm old tires. So 6 1/2 dozen the other. I would probably put on new tires if I could. That would just be me.
Now, the guy leading is known to be a gambler in these races. He's also one of the most experienced drivers in this car in the service. I think Julian's probably going to gas and go. I would suspect that his much less experienced teammate going to get tires.
All right, let's reset the field really quick before we get into that period. Altena is your leader, last pitted at lap 102. Chen Van Velde, his teammate, last pitted at lap 102. Matt Wagner, last pitted at lap 91. So he is 45 laps into his current stint. I would imagine he's coming any time soon. Liam O'Sullivan is fourth. He pitted on lap 102. Ford Dordoshenko is fifth, leading that second group a little bit further on back. For our title sponsor car on pit road, that is Liam O'Sullivan. But Fordor now moving up to fifth, but he last pitted on 99. Salvazzi right behind him, pitted on lap 98. McBean on 92, so McBean's going to be on a similar schedule as Matty Wagner. Here comes Salvazzi and Matt Wagner.
So all these guys are thrown in. The interesting one to me is O'Sullivan. He's going to split the run in half. But here comes Matt Wagner. This is the money stop for him and Salvazzi for sure.
Oh, watch O'Sullivan coming off a pit road gingerly. And he's back rolling. No issues. Let's get back on.
Austin's out. Austin's out. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Who
has done it this time?
I don't know. I'm watching McBean. He was hitting pit road. I don't know if he got sideways hitting pit road or.
It's Jonas
Weber.
It's Jonas Weber. Was down into turn 3 and it appears as though he just lost.
He's
the back
damaged.
end.
He's damaged.
Well, if you hit the cement with the rear of the car, it'll do that. But how did he acquire that damage?
Oh, he's going down the front straight here, and I think McBean. I think I saw damage on the front of McBean's car. So we come into the corner entrance, and McBean sends it down low. Weber cuts across his nose and up into the wall. Now that coming across the nose damaged the back wing. I don't think he knows that, so he's going to keep his foot in it. McBean now probably realizes his front wing's damaged, but he's coming to pit road anyways. It was about that time for him anyways. Weber goes into 3, turns the wheel, and the back end comes around because there's no downforce back there.
No, and poor Matt Wagner gets caught by the caution twice. McBean actually is the beneficiary of that because now he is able to make his pit stop under. He's able to make his pit stop under yellow. So Bill Colley and Alexander McBean have leapt up into that lead lap group. Matt Wagner is going to get the wave around here, but he will be now in the tail end of the lead lap along with Salvazzi. Gary Lovern should be our wave around car.
And I'll take a look at Gary Lovern here. Yeah, there he is, one of them. So I'm showing Chen as the leader. Chen Van Velde as the leader right now. So yeah, Wagner will get the wave around. Salvazzi will get the wave around. Bonnie will get the wave around. Lovern, I think, is unfortunately he's kind of almost an incident on the who was that? Liam almost had a car pile in the back of him a little bit there. If I just missed that. Here comes Bill Colley. And Liam kind of ducks to the inside. And Colley's like, careful, boys. I'm not sure. I think Lovern's going to be, unfortunately, he's getting cycled back. Are we in that point where in the race where the top 10 is going to be directly in contact with one another?
We are
20
not.
laps to go.
We are not.
That's interesting.
That's 10 laps to go is the rule.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Julian.
So I'm not sure why Lovern is getting cycled back and all those on the lead lap are getting put in front of him. He's definitely he wasn't getting the wave around unless race control, which is also Julian. But I don't see Julian typically does not do that though, so I'm not sure why that's happening.
Could be voluntary. As the wave around cars all take off.
Yeah, they do take off. So yeah, in that case, I mean, maybe Lovern should have hit pit road just to top off, get new tires. But again, maybe he just wants to keep that track position, hope for another caution in the next couple laps, and then get the lucky dog and be back on the lead lap. So we'll see.
I can see the steam coming out of the cockpit of the 54. You have to feel bad for Matt. That's twice in one race. If anybody can get back up there, it's going to be him. It's going to be fun to watch.
Well, he's had in the last couple of weeks, he's had a lot of situations where he's had in a position to win. This is either Dark Horse, this is either the ISRA Truck Series, which we watch him in as well. Now where he's been in this series, where he's been in a position of winning, VOR Series, where he's been in a position to win, and one thing or another, something kind of ruins that. And I can feel his pain. Unfortunately, for all the best laid plans, they don't always come to fruition. Okay, so Lovern's going to stay out of everyone's way, kind of let everyone go on the high side. Now people can't, and now we've got a very slow restart, and I think people behind Lovern are checking up because they don't want to pass and get the penalty. So that's going to really separate the top four a lot from everyone else. Van Velde, Julian, Doshenko, and Colley. Colley looking for another top 5 this weekend.
Yeah, how about Bill Colley? He's 4th. Good run for Bill Colley, and he's been fast here. He's been able to keep up when he's been up there.
Here comes Wagner underneath McBean. Yeah, continue your thought. We're watching a battle back here for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
The elbows are going to be out now. 54, the elbows are out, and McBean, I think, knows he's not in a good place. So Wagner has got to O'Sullivan now. We did have a longer yellow there. There was some disagreement from the gentleman about who should be positioned where, but I think we got all that figured out. Meanwhile, what a ragged restart that was.
Yeah, that was a ragged restart.
Well,
and I think a lot of it had to do with where Lovern was, and a lot of people did not want to pass Lovern until the green came out, because if they passed them before, they would have been passing under yellow, and that would have been a black flag.
And that's an experience thing. So the first car in that checkup, Liam O'Sullivan.
I think Lovern's pretty experienced too. I mean, we go back and take a look at him. I mean, he's got a 2.9 KI rating, a 499 safety rating.
No. I'm not saying Lovern. I'm saying Liam being inexperienced.
Well, and I'm saying that Lovern was actually kind of dragging a little bit there at the start. I think I would have gone. I would have taken the restart and immediately ducked to the inside and then slow down and let people around me instead of coming up to the restart slow and separating the field. Man, we're going to go 4 wide. Oh, now we're going to go 2 wide, at least going in the 1 now. Julian on the inside of Doshenko, trying for that position to get up to his teammate and the leader. Bill Colley almost follows him through.
Wouldn't that be something if old Bill Colley won two in a row? Won 2 races this week.
That would be awesome. Bill. That would be awesome. Doshenko going to send it in there. Julian's going to hold it on the outside. Colley's very interested party. Now we're 3 wide for the lead. Look how low Doshenko is on the main straight. 10 drove him down there. He had a very shallow entry. It's going to cost some speed on the exit out. Colley's going to stay on the outside of him. Going to stay in Julian's draft. Might get to pull around. Wagner's now moved up to 5th.
Yeah, we're gonna have a 5-way battle here very shortly. Meanwhile, at the front, you've got Doshenko and Chen Vandevelde all over each other, with Julian just. it almost seems to me that Julian may just be the interested party here as he kind of pulls up on the inside of Chin. Boy.
Oh,
no, that's late. No,
that was real late, and that's not going to make Julian very happy. He's just going to send it. He's just going to send it. And here comes Bill down low. Bill getting the position on Chin. Move Bill up to third.
Yeah, now watch. Julian's going to move him up the hill here. No more Mr. Nice Guy on that entry.
No, he didn't even. Doshinko didn't even take a hack at it. He just stayed high.
Yeah. And there's the retaliatory block, shall we say?
Bill almost up in the chin.
No. All this has done is allowed
Wagner and O'Sullivan and Savazzi to get back into this battle.
Yeah, we're about to have a 7-way shootout with about 5 to go is what it's going to wind up at.
Julian back to the lead. Lap 151 of 160.
O'Sullivan now to the outside of Wagner.
If you're just joining us, this is the very late coverage of Round 4 of the VOR IndyCar IR05 series coming to you from Gateway, where Julian Altena, your points leader, is your leader on the track. We got less than 10 to go. Want to thank iRacing for sponsoring today's race, and their driver right now is in second, challenging for the win. Bill Colley, Friday's winner, challenging for the podium, looking at the inside of Chin Van Velde into 3 and 4. Chin giving him no inches whatsoever. Of course, Bill was involved in an incident early in the race that somehow spared his car any damage. And now he's blinking. Don't blink out. Don't blink out.
Don't save that connection. Tell your wife to unplug the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Take the kids' iPads
Let's stop. No more binge watching Netflix.
You know, we had that happen in the RL once. Frankenfield started blinking, and it's because his wife was watching Netflix. That was an interesting conversation to hear under the yellow. Oh, there goes Bill!
And Bill, he got ran into. Leon O'Sullivan, I think, ran into him.
Well, yes, but that's part.
Well, we'll ride with Liam.
Ooh, poor Bill. Such a great run.
And here comes Liam. Oh, Bill down to the apron, and he gets the rumble strips. And okay, I thought maybe Liam got in the back of him, and unfortunately, Bill, human error. Unfortunately, so close to getting another top 5, possibly a podium here at Gateway this weekend. So now what we're going to have is a sprint to the end. Julian is still going to be the leader. Dojiko P2. Chin Van Velde, he's coming to pit road, possibly for his last set of tires, possibly? I don't know. Or I don't know why he's coming to pit road. Patrick Savazzi, he's going to give up third place to Patrick Savazzi, who started from the pole and has not really had a great race since he gave up the lead very early on. Turned Matty Wagner up to 4th. McBean now 5th. Colley still rolling. I believe he's going to have a bad back wing, and I don't think he wants to stop at this point. He is on a 6th spot. Chin Van Velde on pit road. And did he get tires? Let's watch his stop here. He goes up on the jack, so he's getting tires. Wagner to the extreme inside of the racetrack. Wonder if he is like very tight on fuel. Are we getting ready to go green? And we're lining up like we're getting ready to go back racing. I think they maybe shorten this yellow. Lights are out on the pace car. Indeed they are. And we are going back to a sprint, a final 4-lap sprint. 5 miles to decide this. Green flag in the air. Julian takes off. Doshenko, Savazzi, Wagner, McBean into 1 for the win.
Again, here they go, and you've only got 3 laps to do this. So they're all going to accordion together here. They're all going to accordion together here with about 2 to go. You're going to see Dushenko get to the back of Altena. Salvazzi get to the back of Dushenko. They've started the snake now, the dragon, Julian, all the way down to the pit wall, going down into turn 1. This is where you want to make sure you run that perfect line through 1 and 2. They're all going down to the bottom. Wagner is high. He's trying to run that carom shot, but Julian all over the backstretch.
Those are legal moves.
As long as you're not reacting to the car in front of you,
right?
IndyCar, that is perfectly legal, unless you're driving down on the pit lane. They tend to frown on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, as long as you're not reacting to the car behind you. You're on one move, and then after that, any reactionary moves, that is blocking. But doing the snake is not, because that's initiated by the leader. And he snakes down to the bottom at least one time this time down the backstretch. In the 3, 2 laps to go. Coming to the white flag here at Gateway. Our points leader looking at another win here in the IR05 series. White flag. I think Julian has this because Dushenko has bigger problems because Salvazzi's all over him. Julian cleanly through 3 into 4, cleanly through 4, exit, and yet another win for Altena Autosports and Julian Altena here on the IR05 series here at Gateway.
Absolutely fantastic racing. Fyodor Dushenko comes home 2nd, Patrick Savazzi 3rd, McBean 4th, and Chin Vandeveld, how about that, 5th? Matty Wagner from the back to the front more times than he would care to count today, 6th. Gary Lovren 7th. They are your lead lap machines. Alexander Bonney 8th, Collie 9th. Liam O'Sullivan will finish 10th. It's fun, Gary.
Get those results up here on the screen. And Matty Wagner, had that purple lap of the race. Again, little consolation to him, I'm sure. 26.1. But there you see Julian led 76 laps, your winner. Fordo Dushenko, 22 laps led. Salvazzi, your pole sitter, led 16. McBean, P4, or Chin Van Velde, led 9, finished 5th. Matt Wagner led 26 laps, finished 6th. Levern, Bonnie, Collie, Sullivan, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Jonas Weber, 11th. Seb Kinder, 12th. Matthew Weeks, 13th. Strauss, 14th. Edson Santos, 15th. 16th is Weekly. 17th, Mertz. 18th, Christensen. Unfortunately, after his Indianapolis win, and Chris Lewis, I believe, having PC issues, comes home 19th.